Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel where we break down the scriptures so you can have an easier time understanding them. We're going to be doing a series called Explain the Book, and today we are starting with the book of Genesis. So let's get into it. Okay, our goal is to go through Genesis in about 10 minutes. Part 1. We are going to speed through it, but we want to hit all the major points that you need to know. And if you like this format, if you find it helpful, please subscribe because we'd love to do more of these. Explain the book videos for you guys. All right, let's dive in. So, part 1 is creation. This is Genesis chapters 1 through 2. God creates the world in 6 days, everything in it, the animals, the plants, the stars in the sky, the sun, the moon. It all was created by God, and on the 6th day, He created mankind, Adam and Eve. They were made in God's image. Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. God created mankind in His own image. In the image of God, He created them. Male and female, He created them. God placed Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden to live a life of peace and harmony with each other and with God. This was a perfect world. There was no sin, there was no pain, there was no death. Life was good. But this wouldn't last, because in part 2, we have the fall. Genesis chapters 3. Adam and Eve chose to disobey God, and sin entered into the world, which brought death. Because of their sin, they were no longer allowed to stay in the garden. They were kicked out of Eden. There was a consequence for their actions. They had to leave the only home that they knew. The relationship between God and man was broken because of sin, and this is where things start to get bad. You know, because of their disobedience, God put a curse on the ground. It was cursed because of sin. The woman would have pain in childbirth. The man would have to work hard to provide for his family. And this pain and suffering would continue throughout human history until part 3. When we see judgment through a flood. Genesis chapters 6 through 9. It says that the Nephilim were on the earth, and the earth was filled with violence. God looked at the earth and saw that it was corrupt. Who found favor in God's eyes? Noah built an ark to save his family and 2 of every kind of animal. The flood came and lasted for 40 days and 40 nights. Everything that was not on the ark perished. After the floodwaters receded, Noah and the animals came off the ark, and the earth was completely empty. Noah built an altar and offered sacrifices to God, and God promised to never destroy the earth by flood again. And God said, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. So we know that God will always keep His promises. And in this case, He made a rainbow a symbol of that promise. Part 4 is the Tower of Babel. This is Genesis chapter 11. This is the story of human pride. People wanted to build a city and a tower that reached to the heavens. They wanted to make a name for themselves. So they started building this tower, bricks and mortar, and they hired a guy named Nimrod to lead them. Now Nimrod was a mighty hunter before he became a builder, and he built the tower as an alternative to the ziggurat. The ziggurat was a Mesopotamian temple tower that was used for religious ceremonies. The difference between the ziggurat and the Tower of Babel was that the Tower of Babel was meant to reach heaven, to replace the need for God. They didn't want to look up to God. They wanted to build something that would take God's place. Well, God wasn't having it. While they were building this tower, God came down and confused their language so they couldn't understand each other. And he scattered them and they stopped building the tower. We talk more about Nimrod in a later video, because he is mentioned quite a bit in the book of Genesis. But to sum up the first 11 chapters of Genesis, we have creation, then the fall of man, then judgment through a flood, and then judgment through confusion. The main point is that humanity is sinful and unable to reach God on their own. We need help. We need a Savior. Thankfully, God has a plan. He makes covenants with men. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is going to rescue his people from their sin. If you'd like to learn more about the rest of the plan, you should definitely check out our series called Who is Jesus?, where we break down the 4 Gospels.